Okay, Robin, you are live.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to our virtual Junior Ranger program today. My name's Robin, and I'm an interpreter here at Morro Bay State Park. And right now we're here on Morro Bay. We're going to be taking a virtual kayak tour through Morro Bay. So we'll go ahead and get started. Feel free to use those comments down below on our Facebook page to ask any questions you may have. So for those of you who have never been kayaking before, this is a real opportunity for you to get your feet wet to see if you think you might like kayaking. Here at Morro Bay State Park, we obviously have Morro Bay, which actually serves several levels of protection for the wildlife that live here in Morro Bay. So this is a national estuary. An estuary just means that's where fresh water and the salty sea meets, and it forms what's known as brackish water. And this brackish water is something that a lot of wildlife really benefit from. And that wildlife could be birds, that wildlife could be animals living in the ocean, so marine animals. And it can also be animals that live on land. Morro Bay is also a marine protected area. Has anybody heard of a marine protected area before? It's a long couple words, so we like to shorten it by calling them MPAs. Can you guys say that with me? MPAs. Perfect. So MPAs, what does that mean? MPAs are much like parks that we go to on land. So whether it's a state park, like where we're at right now, maybe a national park, maybe a park down the street from your house. We all like to go to parks, right? Parks are awesome. We get to play in parks, and we often get to see wildlife in parks. So these parks are set aside and they're protected. They're wild spaces where animals can live because these wild spaces are their homes. So it's really nice to be able to have these wild spaces set aside because we're protecting these animals' homes. So marine protected areas, or MPAs, are much like these land parks that we're all so familiar with, except they're in the water and they're under the waves. And it's really cool here in California because we have the largest network of marine protected areas in the whole entire world. That's right, the whole entire world. We have 124 marine protected areas all along our California coastline. Is anybody in the audience right now a California resident? If you are, we are super lucky here because we have this great resource right off of our coastline. We have these protected areas that not only we can play in, like kayaking, but also for us to view wildlife. And again, not just animals that live in the ocean benefit from these marine protected areas, but also animals that live primarily off the ocean. So you can see to the right here, we have the heron rookery. So this is where a lot of birds live. And you can see that it's really close to the ocean, isn't it? They have a bunch of nests up there. And we've got all kinds of birds. We've got herons, we've got egrets, we've got a vulture that's actually flying just above, and we've got cormorants. All of these birds like to hang out in little colonies and lay their nests together in the trees. And they're so close to the water because they benefit from what's in the water. So they may not live in the ocean, but their food lives in the ocean. So when you see a lot of birds like this, it's a really good indicator that the ocean nearby is really healthy because there's a lot of food for them. It's really rich in abundance and biodiversity. So this heron rookery is a protected space. It's a natural preserve. Another level of protection that we have here in Morro Bay for the wildlife. And wildlife sure do love Morro Bay. If you look over to our left, you can see this big strip of land here. This is called a sand spit. And that's exactly what it is. It's a little strip of sand. This sand spit actually separates Morro Bay's waters, which we're in right now, from the Pacific Ocean. So on the other side of that sand spit, of that little strip of land, is the Pacific Ocean. And the Pacific Ocean, it can get pretty wild. There could be big waves, there could be harsh winds, but that sand spit protects Morro Bay's waters. And we actually have a little friend that's just popped up to our left. We have a southern sea otter. So we're going to be a little quiet so that we can respect its space. That sea otter just dove down, but it's grooming itself a little bit. These sea otters live a pretty tough life here in Morro Bay because they're constantly in some sort of state of movement. So they have to groom a lot, they have to eat a lot, and the mothers, the female otters, they're always in a state of motherhood. So they're always taking care of their young. So these sea otters live a pretty tough life. So when we see them out in the wild like this, we want to make sure to stay quiet, maybe not get too close to them, and really respect their space, because remember, this is their home, and we want to make sure we're not intruding too much on their home. Just like when someone enters your home, you want them to respect your space as well. So we've got seabirds that benefit from this marine protected area. And we also have marine mammals like that southern sea otter that also benefit from marine protected areas. Because these marine protected areas are set aside, they're safe, the animals and organisms that live here are able to interact with each other the way that they're meant to. So we're not just protecting one species, we're not just protecting the seabirds, we're not just protecting the sea otter, but we're protecting the entire ecosystem and how they interact with each other. So you can think of these MPAs much like charging stations. They're just pumping life into the rest of our oceans. So the surrounding water of an MPA is benefiting from the protection within the MPA. And this is what's actually known as the spillover effect. Can you all say that with me? Spillover effect. Because we're having fish and other animals growing in abundance, that abundance is spilling over into surrounding waters, creating a ripple effect. It's a pretty cool, cloudy day here in Morro Bay. We've got our sea otter friend off in the distance. So we're going to paddle parallel to the sea otter and not directly at it. This way I'm showing that I don't want to harm the sea otter and I'm going to respect its space by not pointing my kayak right at that sea otter. And if you're ever kayaking or stand-up paddleboarding and you see wildlife, whether it's a sea otter or a sea lion, or maybe even a sea bird, a really good rule of thumb is to be about 5 kayak lengths away from the wildlife. Again, this just shows that you're respecting their space and you're showing that you don't want to harm them. So this way they can be relaxed and they can continue eating, continue grooming, and they're not spending any extra energy being fearful of you. So peaceful out here. I hope if you've never been kayaking before, you'll give it a shot because it's a great way to view things that you might not normally be able to see. So off to our left here, this is Windy Cove. This is a popular spot for people to stop, hang out with their family, maybe even launch a kayak. And it's a great space to see Morro Bay, but being in a kayak in the middle of the bay, it's really fun. It's really peaceful, and if you're quiet enough, you often get to see lots of wildlife that you might not normally see from the shore, just like that otter we saw. So Morro Bay is a great space to see lots of wildlife. But if there's any future divers in the audience, let us know, because diving down under the waves and in the water actually allows for a whole otherworldly experience. You get to dive and see what's underneath the waves. So here in Morro Bay, that could be an eelgrass bed, which is this stuff right here. This is eelgrass, and we have some eelgrass beds here in the bay. And this eelgrass actually serves as homes for lots of different animals. You might also see a kelp forest. Kelp forest also serves as homes for lots of different kinds of animals. So just like a forest you might be familiar with on land, a tree forest, there's lots of animals that live there, isn't there? We've got different birds, maybe we've got some bugs, we've got some land animals, depending what kind of forest. Maybe you've got some bears, some mountain lions. Forests provide lots of homes. And so just like the forest on land provides lots of homes, the kelp forest in the ocean also provides for a lot of different kinds of animals. Fish really like to hang out in a kelp forest. This way they're hidden and they can rest and they can eat and they can live the good life. They don't have to worry about hiding from predators that might want to eat them. What kinds of things do you think we benefit from with the ocean? So if we eat fish, that's pretty obvious, right? Our food's coming directly from the ocean. But if we don't eat fish, there are several other things that come from the ocean that we may use daily. So let me know if you brushed your teeth this morning. Who brushed their teeth this morning? Hopefully some of you said yes. I know it's still kind of early. But in our toothpaste, we have something in it that comes from the ocean, and that's seaweed or kelp. There's a small chemical component within the algae of that seaweed and kelp that is also put in our toothpaste. Isn't that amazing? Sounds kind of gross, but it's not like it's kelp flavored toothpaste. So maybe not all of you brushed your teeth this morning. Again, it's still kind of early, completely understandable. But what about those of you who like ice cream? Let us know if you like to eat ice cream. I know that I like to eat ice cream. The same thing that's in our toothpaste is also in ice cream. I know that sounds kind of weird, but again, it's not kelp flavored ice cream. It's just something that's within the ice cream that helps with the texture. So even though we may not eat fish, a lot of the things that we may use or enjoy daily come from the ocean. Now there's one really big thing that all of us use every single second that comes from the ocean. Does anybody know what that is? Maybe water? No, not necessarily the water. Salty water is not too great to drink. Who's breathing right now? Is anybody breathing? I hope I hear from at least some of you, because we all need to breathe, right? And we actually have the ocean to thank for that. For every 2 breaths that we take, one of them comes from the ocean. Isn't that amazing? Every 2 breaths that you take, one of them comes from the ocean. So even if you don't live near the ocean has a really big effect on how we lead our daily lives, because we all need to breathe, right? So let's go ahead and take 2 big breaths together and thank the ocean for one. Are you guys ready? All right, deep inhale and exhale. Inhale and exhale. And now say thank you, ocean. The ocean is awesome. I love it. It helps me to breathe. It helps me to do the things that I love to do, like kayaking. And again, even if we don't live near the ocean, we're all connected to the ocean. Because our entire world has about 70% ocean and only 30% land. So there's a lot more ocean in this world than there is land. And that's why it plays such a big part in providing the oxygen that we breathe. So since the ocean does so much for us, what are ways that we can help our oceans every single day? Is there something that you probably already do? I know there's a lot of ocean and earth stewards out there, and you're all doing such a great job at taking care of where we live. And I want to hear what it is. Help inspire others and help to teach people what kinds of things can be done. I know for me, I like to practice my 3 R's. So we have reduce, reuse, and recycle. Reduce just means to reduce how much we use and also reduce how much we waste. Reuse, there's probably a lot of you out there that have some sort of reusable item. Maybe it's a reusable water bottle. Maybe it's a reusable straw, reusable utensils. Maybe it's a reusable bag you take to the market. I know a lot of you out there use reusable items, and let me know what that is. What kind of reusable items do you use on a daily or weekly basis? And then we have recycle, which is a great one, but it's probably best to be used as a last resort. So if we can't reduce something and we can't reuse something, then maybe we can recycle it. And there's a new 4th R. I'm wondering if anybody knows what it is. Anybody have any idea what the new 4th R is? If you thought refuse, you're right. Refuse is the new 4th R. And what that means is to kindly refuse plastic items. Because plastic doesn't belong in the ocean, right? It doesn't naturally belong there, but oftentimes it ends up in the ocean. And so by refusing plastic items, you can help reduce how much plastic will end up in the ocean. So maybe you're out with your family, you're getting a soda or a smoothie, and someone offers you a plastic straw. You can kindly say, no, thank you. And not only are you reducing how much plastic is getting wasted, but you're also inspiring others to think differently about the world we share. Because we all have one home, right? One of the many things we have in common. We all need to breathe, and we all have one home. And when someone takes care of it, it inspires others to do the same thing. So if you kindly refuse single-use plastics like a plastic bag, a plastic straw, plastic utensils, you're letting others know that you care and you want to make a difference. So make sure to tag us on our social media sites, or maybe even comment and let us know ways that you like to take care of our world and our ocean. And again, it will inspire others to think differently about the world we all live in. Think differently about how much plastic we may use, and maybe find alternatives to that plastic. Because MPAs, those marine protected areas we talked about earlier, are really great for protecting the ocean. They're really great for protecting and providing a safe space for a lot of wildlife, but there's no way to keep the plastic out of these MPAs. So that's where we come in. That's where we can make a big difference. Because if one person reduces their impact, it makes a big difference. So if that one person inspires other people to do the same thing, it can be a ripple effect and make a really big difference. So I hope you enjoyed this kayak tour today. As we paddle through Morro Bay, I hope you got to learn about this beautiful space. I hope you got to learn about the wildlife that live here, and also learn a couple things about marine protected areas. So make sure to tune in tomorrow at 10 a.m. on our Facebook pages at Morro Bay State Parks, Hearst San Simeon State Park, and Hearst Castle, or over on our YouTube page, San Luis Obispo Coast District, for our next virtual Junior Ranger program. These are going to go on for several more weeks, every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 10 a.m. Hope to see you next time. Have a great day.